Welcome back, my friends, to the Sweet Spot, where IT leaders share the insight with other leaders and others that want to lead. I'm Carlos Vargas. Not as every week, but almost every week, I have my two co-hosts, Art Holton and Paul Lewis.
Hello. Is it the three of us not every week, or just happens we don't do it every week?
That's true. We don't do it every week.
Yeah.
Got it.
Any travel this week?
And we're here. Yes, I'll be in Sunnyvale tomorrow for the rest of the week, and then Howard's hometown the following week. Unfortunately, Howard won't be there.
That is correct.
But I do have to send a note to Jen and see if she's readily available for a meal.
I'm sure Jen would absolutely love that. I am starting tomorrow, I am in Nashville this week.
Nashville? Mm-hmm.
And then next week, I believe, is New York.
I assume you'll be going to Dollywood then?
Doubtful.
What? That's weird.
It's a fairly quick in and out. If I actually have my druthers, I'll have some strategy meetings here late this week. But I'll be putting those together very last minute.
Here back in Denver?
Here in Denver, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. I'll be teaching another conference on AI Friday.
Nice.
So one of the things that everybody keep talking about is that AI needs data. And we know that corporations have a lot of data. What do we do with that thing that we don't know what it is, the mess that the data is in, where it is? How do we solve that? Is there any way to solve that? I think that that's the question that a lot of people are asking, because they are building all these solutions, but how do we actually use it?
I mean, there's an easy solution to data quality. Just delete the data.
That's right. Very clean.
Delete.
Very clean when it's empty.
Spotless.
No more storage problem.
Let's push back on the premise that AI needs data. I could argue AI needed data, but I'm not sure AI needs data. Right?
Well, to
I had to
generate
train the algorithm. I get that, right? I had to use a corpus of data to make sure the NLP was going to work. I get that too. But it doesn't actually need data from that point forward.
Well, the whole idea is that for an enterprise, if I'm going to use the corporate data that is internally, shouldn't I have some kind of internal data for that? Or do I just depend on what the model has internally?
Like
I would say
branded?
it depends.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, let's dive into it.
Yeah. So most of the times that I talk to people, you can accomplish great things with no external data other than what you feed it as part of the prompt.
Okay.
Like most people, they overthink it by leaps and bounds, right?
Yeah.
Current generative AI systems really understand data structures well. They understand common file formats well. They understand like what the purpose and intent of almost everything we've created is within the confines of those things that we do on a general kind of day-to-day basis. They do not understand your deep focused research that's only held behind your, the four walls of your organization kind of things. But the number of things that we do that actually make that up, even in organizations that are dedicated to that, is sub 0.01% of even what they produce. Most of what we produce is pretty standard documentation, right? Financial records, emails back and forth, kind of standard stuff. AI understands how to work with all of that. So can you get value from AI with no data other than what's relevant to the current prompt at that moment? You absolutely can. You absolutely do not need to train AI to get good results from it and have that actually make a measurable difference to your organization. Now, when we talk about those things that are big bangs, those things that make a big difference, those things that we really want, there is this logical understanding that we want it to understand the details of our business that are specific to our business, that are not public, and then give us insights derived from that data. And that's really what we're talking about today. Like, we were being a little bit of a pain in the ass and saying it doesn't need data, but the truth is, you can, like, if you haven't already gone down the path of just getting prompts that work, that give you back positive insight with no training whatsoever, then you really aren't far enough down the path that you really should be digging into, anything remotely associated with training. Right.
One could argue that prompts are a language. One could also argue that prompts are the data as input into the NLP, right?
Mhm.
Either way, one could build a prompt-based bot that requires no data other than the corpus of data that LLM was trained against, and you'd be
Right.
perfect. I could create answers on behalf of a CIO via a 3-page prompt, and it would be pretty effective, right? It won't be awesome, but it'll be pretty effective. If I were to integrate that and ground that with a series of sweet spot transcripts, yeah, I bet it would be way better. But it doesn't take away from the first 3-page prompt that would actually still be pretty good, even if not awesome.
So then corporations have had systems that integrate probably their file servers, SharePoint. We normally call that probably enterprise search, document management.
No. That's what we called that the day we bought it. The day we implemented that, we called that, holy crap, why did we spend so much money on this piece of crap? Why does this work so poorly? I cannot believe we've spent all this time and money and this is the result we got. That's what we call that thing.
Yeah. Sure.
Otherwise known as whatever the name of the engineer's folly.
The enterprise search has existed for a while. Sometimes it's just a function of the knowledge bases. So you implemented SharePoint, you implemented Confluence, you implemented a CMS, right? Maybe it's just your website, arguably. And yes, you've implemented some sort of search function and it searched through that content and delivered in many ways, just a list of results, which may or may not have proven accurate, but it was a keyword search. That evolved to one could use NLP in the exact same list of assets. And that has evolved into integrating more than just knowledge bases, but databases and APIs to first party, second party, and third party sources. Whether those sources are integrated from a connector perspective or copy data from those sources into your enterprise search, we'll call them platform, right? It's still a secondary data set. It's not like you're augmenting the LLM at that point. And for the most part, an enterprise search package to which you're buying, you don't even control the LLM. You're using the out-of-box version they currently have. Now, if it's coming from a big provider like a hyperscaler, you're probably using theirs. But if you're buying from, let's say, Glean, then you have no idea really what it is other than what documentation they provide to you. The big question is the current version of enterprise search, is it doing the things you expect it to do? And I'm not sure that answer is yes yet.
I'm not sure that answer has ever been yes.
Right.
Right.
There is a vision that enterprise search solves a knowledge management problem. So let me give you the briefest of examples. Let's say you are a department store. You're not just a single department store, but I'm Walmart, and I have thousands of stores around the world, and I have a store list. That store list lists the managers, but that store list exists in 100 different places. One could use enterprise search to connect to those sources and ask the question, what's the manager's name for store 123? And it will more likely than not give you a wrong answer because it doesn't really know which of those files are correct. The irony is if you could actually tell it which one of those files were accurate, you'd just go to that file and get that answer. You wouldn't need enterprise search. Right? So it's an example where it's not actually solving the knowledge management problem where you have multiple sources of truth and you're trying to find the real source of truth. It works much better if the goal of enterprise search is to discover data that you don't know exists or combine 2, 3, 4 pieces of data to give a comprehensive view on a subject, right? So tell me more about this customer, tell me more about this vendor, tell me more about this product. Then it will go to multiple sources and combine those sources and say, here's a more thorough understanding of the thing you just asked for. That's an appropriate use case. But that's not a knowledge management problem. That's simply an access to data problem. Howard, did any of that resonate? Does that Is there nuance I missed there?
Well, I know. I mean, so the problem is like Google is I don't know, are they $1 trillion company yet? But whatever, because search is hard.
Yep.
And thinking you can solve that inside your organization in a way that's new, interesting, novel, and more effective than what you get from Google when you do a general internet search, it's kind of insane, right? LLMs have the ability to help with that in exactly the same way that people are using AI LLMs to get an answer rather than a Google search. Like I'm constantly reading from people that are like, all right, today was my 27th day without using Google for a search. I'm getting better results from insert name of public model. Mm-hmm. That being said, what are we trying to accomplish with enterprise search is a good place to start. And is that actually the thing that has value today or not?
I usually start my questions, especially if I'm in front of another technologist or another sort of business user who's worried about this kind of function point, is can you describe a dozen questions your end users would want to ask, and then tell me where they would go now, what system they'd go to now to get that answer, which creates a lot of sort of enlightening responses. It could be a list of 12 questions to a single system, right? Go to my HR system and answer HR questions. Go to my finance system and answer finance questions, to which I normally would say, well, why don't you just go to those systems then? Right? Why have this third party thing over here that requires an API access to your HR system, to your finance system to answer the exact same question? Or you're asking it to do a function you'd normally have a BI tool or an MIS tool. Like if a lot of your questions are show me a list that, or analyze this set of data to determine what the forecast for Y is, those are BI functions, BA functions, not search functions.
So are we trying to solve a problem that people are not trained on how to use a tool? Or are we trying to solve that we don't know where the data is? And we're trying...
No, I think the problem is people don't understand what enterprise search is supposed to do and have constantly tried to use it for things that it's not actually built for, and then think that AI is going to suddenly solve the problem when the problem is a fundamental lack of understanding in what enterprise search is supposed to do. Like enterprise search isn't a data platform, not really, in the same way that Google isn't a data platform. Right. And so if you think that you're going to suddenly add AI to enterprise search and that becomes an analytics platform, I don't think that at all is an accurate or reasonable thing to say or assume. Right. They're not an analytics platform. They're not a decision platform. They're not a, insight platform. They are I'm looking for this very specific series of words. Where do I find this very specific series of words? And LLMs can help improve that, but they can only help improve that within the context of it still needs to be a search platform, and they're better at understanding your intent than SQL is, as an example, right? Since fundamentally searching is a SQL query.
Yep. It's good if your goal is to discover where places might be for your prompt, your question, and to collect that information and combine it in a cohesive way. What it doesn't do well is be an abstracted UI to a single system, right? So it can't be your HR portal. It can't be your finance portal. It can't be your product transaction portal. It can't be your SAP ERP portal because it doesn't maintain that function point. You're asking it a question. You're not asking it to do work or perform work as you would in the ERP when you're actually in the ERP.
Right.
So people are using it as I'm not sure how this function works in my ERP. So can I get this other portal to use AI to discover that function and perform that action? That's not what it exists to do, which is the complexity there, right? And if you really have a knowledge management problem where you have multiple locations of the same source, same customer, same transaction, same product, same branch, then it's not helping that situation. It's actually making it worse because
Much, much worse.
right.
Much.
So if you have 12 places of the address of these stores, 11 times out of 12, now you're going to get the wrong answer, right? Which is not helpful in your organization, right?
Right. And AI would have no way to know what the source is if you didn't tell it. And if you already don't know what the actual authoritative source is, you don't have the ability to tell it.
Right.
Right.
So when we have these platforms or enterprise search, you mentioned they have connections and data from a lot of places. Are you seeing that people are trying to, because like any enterprise may have, let's say, half a petabyte to, let's say, 5 petabytes of storage in file servers, big corporations, stuff like that. So trying to search all that with an LLM, that's massive because you're not just getting, like I said, it's not just generalized knowledge. You're trying to be specific.
It's also the most expensive way to do it.
Correct.
The most expensive way to search all that data is to feed it into an LLM and then ask an LLM to answer questions about it. It is the most expensive way. So I'm not sure that it's something you should reasonably want to do, right? We do need like an enterprise knowledge management platform that does none of the things we have described thus far, right? Like we need a knowledge management platform that is effectively a data quality platform that is highly automated and does things like you have 11 copies of this data. Here's the 10 that appear to be the oldest.
Right.
Right. Like, which of the following 5 methods would you like to have a human validate which is the best? And then it needs to replace the other, of the 11, it needs to replace 10 of them with a stub that points back to the 11th. Right. It's something I actually asked Hitachi to do with, I thought it would have been a really good use for HCP and HCI is when it finds multiple copies, figure out which is the newest one, send an email, and then just replace all the others with stubs that link back to the, to the quote unquote authoritative one. Because everybody's going to want to look for their stuff somewhere. But if that's no longer authoritative, you shouldn't be messing with it.
Yeah. So to take that example, I was asked that, well, why doesn't the search just look at the last opened date and time? And my answer is if there's 12 of those files, anybody could open them at any time and therefore become the last opened.
Yeah. Well, also the automated tools themselves are also going to open the file to read the file. Right. Therefore, the one that it just opened to read the data is now the authoritative one. That seems like that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Again, interesting things you realize when your whole life is e-discovery and you spend your life in file metadata.
Yep. Or the reverse, where as part of your enterprise search implementation, you essentially said, import this branch list. Now it's part of the enterprise search platform, and therefore it's not really searching at all. It's now part of the platform, the data that it's going to answer. Which means you now have to have a synchronization process that it constantly goes and updates that every day, let's say. But then you already know what the source is. You're replicating that source all the time. So why don't you just go to the source? Why have you implemented this other thing?
Right.
Which leads me to the undocumented costs of enterprise search, right? So there is a price to configure and implement it. There is likely a price to subscribe to it month to month. There's certainly a price to deploy it and do training and prompt training across your organization to actually use a tool like that. And one would have to assume it's creating consumption, right? So if it's going against the data warehouse, as an example, it is using the data warehouse consumption. That price is going to go up, and your cloud prices are going to go up, and I assume your storage prices are going to go up because you're going to pull that data into the enterprise search platform. It's a lot of others to that versus just the configuration setup of the enterprise search. The real value might be its enterprise search extension, So maybe the search function, the knowledge management capability is value X. But if you can start to create agents that perform functions or actions from your activity, that might be the bonus, right? Where I can search for, tell me more about this customer, and it finds, discovers, and gives you a comprehensive creative outlet for that in a templated form. And then you can say, great, create solution proposal, send it to customer as the action. That has value to it. I certainly buy that. But it narrows the window of use cases quite sharply when that happens, right? Because you have to build all those automations. They're probably not going to be out of the box. If it was, it would be a miracle platform. So the question is, if it was a commercial enterprise software, enterprise search, I can see the value in a commercial enterprise search requiring 1,000 connectors and sources, but it would also require 1,000 out-of-the-box agents, to which I can then build custom connectors and custom agents to make it more appropriate to my business. That would be a comprehensive view of that platform. Thoughts?
I mean, I don't disagree with anything you said. Right? I'm not sure. I'm not sure the value of enterprise search is clear today. Right? I'm not sure that it continues to retain its value. I'm not sure that it continues to,
Would that be
I'm not sure it
the
ever has,
first foray of AI for institution, or would it be productivity AI? So a sidecar.
I think it should absolutely be a productivity AI.
Okay.
But I also think, like, relatively quickly we need to get away from many of the things that we do. Right? Like, if productivity AI actually worked, then your day would be spent defaulting to the AI, not defaulting to any of the systems.
Right. You'd start in the AI. You
Correct.
would start drafting a document.
Correct. Your circles would always go back to the AI, right? Like the AI, you'd go to the AI and the AI would say, I created 3 drafts and sorted 37 emails since the last time we chatted. Right. While you were on your call. By the way, here's the update of, what you got on your call. And then you just deal with the drafts versus, the alternative, which is you still circling all the systems and the AI sitting over there on the side going, hey, can I screw this up for you? Which is what I get from all the AIs integrated in all the systems now that are supposed to be helpers.
Right.
Right.
So you'd like a world that was listening to this call we're on now, identifying action items, drafting emails and or documents and or spreadsheets based on what it's heard, and then presenting you after this call with a list of to-dos.
Yes, but I want it to be as good as the AI that I built to do that. Because the AI built into insert name of tool that I don't want to mention here, they all suck. The one for Teams isn't any good, the one for Google isn't any good, and the one for Zoom isn't any good. Right. Matter of fact, whatever you talk about on the Zoom one first, that's what it thinks the whole meeting is about. So those 2 or 3 minutes that you spend kind of BSing as part of a team, it thinks that's what the whole meeting was about.
That's the purpose.
So the number of times I can't make a meeting and I'm like, cool, I'll go read the notes. And it's like, they talked about pancakes. No, they really didn't talk about pancakes. They mentioned pancakes at the beginning while they waited for everybody to join. What are you talking about?
Right. That's the completely title of the show.
The Pancake Show.
It so is. It's like, and I get that from all of them. They're not. It's like whoever built the prompt that they work off of doesn't understand. Has never been in a meeting themselves, not one time.
Right.
That's actually very interesting because I have been finding out that a lot of tools, the developers are building all these features and they are never using the feature. So like I said, they're never on a meeting or they don't use the actual tool. And when you say, this feature doesn't work, here's what you need to do. It's like, but why? I'm like, you don't use your tool?
Yeah.
Right.
So thinking about what you mentioned, Paul, so is the idea then enterprise search will not be used by the humans, then we don't need it. Because then if the AI or the agents are going to be the ones that are going to be doing this work and presenting it back, do we truly then still need it?
I think there are different solutions for different problems. So when I ask for those 12 questions / prompts, but I'll use the word questions because I don't know what prompts mean. Give me a dozen questions you want your end users to ask and what systems they would normally go to get that answer now. That's my basic question. And if I get a set of responses that are very specific to productivity, right? I would like it to draft this email to do this thing. I would like it to summarize this document. I'd like it to be able to do grammar checks, right? Then my answer will be, that tool already exists in your productivity tool. You should start using it this way. Or it'll be, yes, it's a search function and that I want to discover content that might be in my productivity suite, but anywhere, or in my drive, anywhere. And I want it to summarize this thing, but it might be in multiple documents. That might be perfectly reasonable, but that also is a function within the productivity tool. But it's not in Docs, it's in Gemini, the app, right? Still within the productivity suite, but not in the productivity tool, right? Appropriate, but different, right? Or they might say, you know what, I have a bunch of external documents I'm trying to do detail analysis on. I want to upload our 50 Gartner decks, and I want an appreciation of what Gartner thinks of AI. And my answer to them is, well, then you'd use something like Notebook LM because it's not a consistent connectivity to a source. You're just uploading temporary documents, right? And Notebook LM has the same problem as Zoom does, is that the first document you upload thinks it's the topic.
Right.
So you have to be very, very careful what the first thing you upload is. If we did like an SKO as an example, and you mistakenly upload one of the transcripts of the third day, then it thinks the entire rest of the content is related on that one thing versus
Correct.
the agenda of the SKO.
Yeah. So do you know how you solve that? It's actually really easy. Go to any other public model.
Yeah.
Upload all of it and say, take all of this information and summarize it into all of the key topics as though you were building an agenda for this conference.
Right.
Give me talking points, details, authors, etc. And then you load that first into Notebook LM and then load the rest of the data.
So solving it is by literally giving it a better first document.
That is correct.
Right.
I mean, you could always write the first document yourself. Like, yeah, that's fine too, I guess. But that seems like work.
Or you already had a table of contents. Or if the bunch of prompts are only a specific system, like I said, then just go to the finance system. I don't think you need anything other than give people the right access to the right tools, or use the AI function in the tool itself. If everything you're trying to ask is in Salesforce, then use Einstein within Salesforce to do that kind of thing for you. But in a much smaller potential example where it is an actual enterprise search use case, where it's collecting a bunch of unknown data from sources you can actually connect to, then great, I will give them sort of that answer. But that's the point, is that the posing the question creates multiple solution types, not a single solution type. Did that answer the question?
To a degree, but then it sparked a different one. Will I then remove the access or the other individual AIs to give preference to the enterprise? Like you mentioned, if you have the one in Salesforce, or if you have the one in Jira or any of those, will you then, because all of these have a cost, that's the other challenge that you mentioned, the hidden cost. So now you're adding additional costs for the enterprise search to get that, but then you still have all the individual systems.
I don't think there's going to be a single AI platform for organization. Maybe a small organization who has only one app. Okay. But for an enterprise, for everybody else, I think you're going to use a bunch of embedded functions within your core systems, i.e. your Atlassian, your ServiceNows, your productivity tools, your Salesforce. You're also going to use potentially enterprise search. You're also going to build out AI functions that are related, have a discrete production-worthy deployment. I think there's a bunch of possibilities there. You're not going to just choose one and hope that one platform can do all of your automation required.
Howard, I
Howard,
think that you're
Howard was
almost
against
gonna
that
explode.
statement.
Yeah, he's almost gonna explode. I'm like, what happened?
No, I don't disagree with you in the short term, but I think long term, I think it's all AI. I don't think like long term, I think we're going to see the biggest consolidation of applications and application vendors we have ever seen at any point, because it's really data, understanding me, interpreting what I want, and doing something with data. Right? Like if you no longer had to have any of those interfaces you mentioned,
Yeah.
right? And one system knew everything that was going on in your business and knew you and your role within the business, why would you need any of those systems? All I would need to do is go, hey, update this project with this detail, move, what is the next step in the project? Right? And it doesn't matter where that project lives. It doesn't matter if that's a Salesforce thing or a Jira thing or what, right? Where is this order? How far are we behind? Like all of that stuff becomes one thing in one place. Why do I need the application anymore?
I guess my only pushback to that is because all of those organizations build and sell software, and it's in their best interest to build and sell software. Like SAP is not going away because some other AI platform is going to displace them. SAP will build in AI into their platform so they can continue to sell SAP.
Sure, and maybe the one platform is just SAP.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that I could buy. Maybe
right.
You consolidate platforms that I could buy, but it would shock me if software companies go away and to be replaced by AI platforms.
No, I think that, but I think they absolutely do. But the platform that they sell isn't an SAP ERP. It is your enterprise AI for this type of company.
This type of company, this type of domain, this type of expertise.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think it's them leveraging their expertise. Right.
Right.
And I think most software companies will just go away. They just don't have the market cap necessary to do that. They'll just be bought, and then that domain expertise gets rolled into SAP or Oracle or Microsoft or Google or whoever.
So does that occur first, or does AGI occur first?
No, that occurs before AGI. I don't think AGI is AGI isn't really real at this point, and ultimately, I don't think AGI provides the value that people seem to attach to AGI. Right? Like most things that even we do are just a decision tree. Right? So most decisions made by business are just a decision tree. So why focus on AGI when ultimately you just need the decision tree? And if we really focused on the unit economics of AI for that decision tree, we could drive the price of AI down and drive the value up in a way where you'd never notice the difference between it and AGI for the set purpose. Right. I think from a research standpoint, right, like a doctoral thesis, a pie in the sky, an R&D investment by the big AI companies, AGI is fine, but I don't think it actually solves it. Like we're having so much trouble with companies being able to solve the problems that AI solves right now today. How would AGI make that any better? Right. I mean, I guess the reality is you could 100% replace your CEO.
Right.
Right. Because most of them don't really know what's going on inside the business anyhow. But if we're being serious, no, we just need an AI to just be slightly better evolved with better unit economics than what we get today. Also, I can't even go through the math of what I did in the last 2 weeks. My volume is way up over AI. I have not hit $11 yet. Like I'm complaining about unit economics, recognizing that I have sent millions of words through AI and I have not hit $11 yet. Just in the last 2 weeks. This is not a longer thing. Just in the last 2 weeks.
Right.
Millions of words have gone in and out of AI.
Right.
Through because my automations are all based on rich text.
Right.
Right. So it's big chunky stuff that I'm automating and testing and experimenting with, and I did not hit an $11 renewal yet.
Pretty good.
I think the economics are getting fairly good. But the quality of the responses is not amazing. There's a lot of work in the quality of responses.
Back to the AGI and people-based decision making. I usually use this in my AI tech examples. It is absolutely possible in the future that you'll be able to walk into your kitchen and your fridge will be able to evaluate all of the raw ingredients in your fridge, in your cupboards, in your pantry, in order to give you a bunch of recipes that you may or may not want to make for dinner. But that's not how humans make decisions on what they want for dinner.
No,
They
but if you
have-
haven't tried that, you really should. Seriously, take a picture of everything in your fridge,
Yep.
take a picture of your pantry, feed those to ChatGPT and say, I don't really know what to make for dinner. This is what I have. Give me 3 creative ideas, and this is kind of what I feel like eating. And it will give you some fantastic ideas based on what you currently have.
I'm sure, but most people, most families, because they run out of time or energy, right? They're not cooking. They're not chefing their cooking, right? Have 20 things in their head that they always make over time. They just replace them, and they want to make one of those things. They're not looking for an inventive recipe. They just
That is
want to
true.
know whether I can make the fish sticks for the kids that I normally make. Right? So there's this big gap between how families actually operate and this awesome intelligence that this fridge is going to provide to you.
No, that's
all.
true.
That's
It would
all I'm
actually be
pointing at.
more valuable if I could just feed the receipts from Target, Safeway, and King Supers in and
Right.
have it put together a renewal plan and just go, hey, like it's been 3 days, you're out of fish sticks.
Right.
You know
That
what I mean?
would
Like,
be
that
way
would be
more
so much more useful.
Way
Just-
more
just,
valuable.
just give me predictive analytics on when I run out of the stuff that I commonly need,
Right.
right?
But then, can we do that today with that? Like, I thought that Samsung and some of the fridges have something like that.
Sure, but they just tell you because you're out of a thing,
Right.
right?
You
But-
want to give it the
but I have
20
the data
meals you
all-
always eat.
And
Yeah.
the data is always on my receipts. So if I just gave
Yeah,
it the receipts and told it to catalog the receipts and the dates that I bought the things, it could probably get pretty close to like, hey, like, oh, good. I'm going to build it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to build the automation. I know how to do
90%
it.
of my grocery list is the same every time. Right.
Yep.
So,
You just get a text message with your new grocery list.
right. That would be awesome.
Right. And then, well, your wife goes to the store every day, but
Yeah.
but like if you only go to the store 2 days a week, it could just put together a grocery list and go, here's what you will need before the next time you go to the grocery store.
That's right.
It could probably even be smart enough that it would tell you which stores to go to in which order.
Assuming you live in a place that has more than one store.
Yes, I have all of the stores.
I have exactly one store.
No. I'm so excited. We're getting a Whole Foods.
Ooh, fancy.
Yes. I like the Whole Foods meat market. So this is supposed to have an aging room. So that's the reason I'm excited.
You can get
Can you order it through Amazon so you can
your wagon.
automate
You
it?
can. Yeah. That's another like life hack that I have is if I'm flying to a place where I've been before and I know there's a Whole Foods close, I'll have Whole Foods deliver my common snack items to my hotel.
Nice.
So they're sitting in the lobby when I arrive.
Nice.
Well, at the end of the day, are we pro or against enterprise search, or does it solve any problems?
I'm not that binary. I think there are perfectly good uses of enterprise search. In fact, I use it all day long. But it's not solving a analytics problem. It's not solving a BI problem, and it's not solving a knowledge management problem, right? It exists for the purpose of being a more comprehensive discovery tool for data that you might not have, and then bringing it together, right? Creating a comprehensive knowledge of a single topic, both inside and outside the company, right? So it's very valueless if it only knows your productivity tool. It's very valuable if you can say, tell me about customer X, but not just about my knowledge, all of the other knowledge in the World Wide Web. That's where the value comes from.
Cool. Well, there you have it, my friends. A great discussion for enterprise search and how you can leverage it. Hashtag GenAI, AGI, all the AIs that are available so we can rank. My friends, make sure that you share, you subscribe, and we'll see you on our next episode.